Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Keyword Crypto podcast with Michael and JJ. Follow us, keywordcrypto.com, and on Twitter, at keywordcrypto and at keywordcryptojj. Check out our Patreon page if you'd like to support us, and let us know on social media if there are certain guests you'd like to hear on the show. And with that, enjoy.
Welcome, everybody. Keyword Crypto. I'm Michael, that's JJ, and we're here to do a little recap of the last 2 weeks for our first episode of 2020. We're going to do something exciting this year.
Let's recap the year.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first show of 2018 was something like, or the short show of 2019 was 2018 like sucked balls or something like that. I mean, it was just like it was pretty asinine episode where we just like talked about how much 2018 sucked because that was the bear market.
That was it.
If you happen to have missed 2018, then you haven't learned your lesson yet. If you're in crypto, I feel
that's very ominous. You're gonna learn your lesson eventually.
I think so. That's what everyone tells us. It's like,
yeah, it's true though.
I mean, so maybe we should talk a little bit about our stories to, maybe some of our listeners are new or they never listened to our first episode, so they don't know who we are or what we're doing here. Might be a good way to start.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Want to lead it off?
Sure, yeah. Okay, let's see. So I basically got obsessed with crypto in 2017. So 2017 was when that bull market happened, the infamous bull market where everything skyrocketed to almost 20,000 per Bitcoin. And I was actually buying Bitcoin in 2016. I had a little bit of history in which I knew about it. I kind of found I wouldn't say I discovered Bitcoin, but I started buying Bitcoin after seeing a movie called Dope, which is about a kid who sells weed on the internet. And I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. Is it real? I had heard about it from like other, from libertarians and, people that I didn't trust talk about this magic internet money. And I had actually purchased quite a bit of Bitcoin that I lost. And I don't like to talk about that because it's a bit painful. It's one of those things where, and, we actually just interviewed somebody who talked about how, creating your first wallet and sending your first transaction, you have no idea what you're doing. And when I first went on the internet to type in how to buy Bitcoin, it was like, oh, you need a wallet, and then you need to buy it from these weird places, and then you need to send it to your wallet and all this stuff. I had like 4 different wallets, and I didn't really know how to use them. And one was on a laptop, and that laptop is gone. I've basically tried to forget about those Bitcoins, but
oof, it's so painful. I'm so sorry.
It is. But the way I've sort of think about it now is 2016, Donald Trump got elected, and I was thinking it's probably a good time to buy some Bitcoin. And 2017 happened. That's pretty much my story. I got really interested in 2017 and just kind of stuck with it. Because, we had invested so much time, money, and all that stuff. Yeah. We're here to stay.
Yeah.
So we might as well talk about it.
Yeah. So I had been hearing about it in 2016, but didn't really pay attention because I follow, like, Ars Technica is one of my favorite websites to follow because I love tech. I started undergrad for engineering, switched over to filmmaking and acting and all that. And then a bunch of my engineering friends who stuck around were like, oh my God, we built a car in our 4th year today. And I was like, oh, that sounds so much fun. Cause like for the first 2 years, it was so boring. So I've always had that technical side, just like that passion and love for it. So Bitcoin was always on my radar, but it only came on my radar every time it would drive the prices of video cards up. for computers, because all the computer nerds would be like, "Fuck you, Bitcoin! You're jacking up the prices of everything. We just want to make computers we can game." And all the gamers were so pissed off at Bitcoin. So I was like, "What the hell is this thing?" And then when it jumped to 2000, it really got on my radar at that point. And so, like May of 2017, I started dabbling in it and looking in it, and then a guy I work with was also doing it, and we were talking about it and nerding out about it a little bit, and then one thing led to another, and pretty much lost everything on alts during the bull run, and tried to make it all back, like revenge traded and pretty much lost everything and didn't really mind. Like I came out at the other end and was like, I actually don't mind losing that money, because I felt like I learned valuable lessons, and I feel like I'm a better person, and I'm more conscious of money now because of it, and I'm more aware of my money. So I felt confident, and then so me and JJ just met up at one point at a meetup, and then we were sitting in a coffee shop talking about maybe working on a business together, and I was like, we should just do this. Like, we should just record us talking like this because we're two artists who also love tech, and so here we are.
Yeah, it's actually when you first discover crypto, there's a bunch of different reasons to be interested in it. Like, you might see it as like an investment. It's actually worth buying because of the ROI, because you're going to make money off it, or you think you will. Or you might be interested in, like, as our most recent guest says, as a protest. You might see this as a kind of an FU to the man. You might just be interested in it because of the other people that you meet. And that's one of the things that I didn't have at first. I knew like one or two other people who had even talked about it. And like I said, they were libertarians that I didn't even have anything in common with. So I think that, when you discover the world of crypto, which is basically like this little tiny world. I mean, it's kind of part of Twitter, it's kind of part of YouTube, and it's a lot of personalities and a lot of drama, and there's a lot of people who really believe in it, and there's a lot of people who just want to get rich.
A lot of drama.
But it's because it's a smaller community, I feel like it's relatively easy to find like-minded people. Yeah. If you do the work. If you're just looking to make money, then you're going to find some of the worst kinds of people. But because of social media, I feel like it's not too hard to like kind of find your group of, similar thinkers.
Yeah, you just got to give it a few weeks, read more than one tweet. So that was the thing. Like I would read a tweet. It was about crypto. I'd follow the person. And then a week later, like with Nick Szabo, I was like, oh shit, this dude's like borderline genocidal. Okay, let's unfollow this guy. So yeah. And it got to the point where even most Bitcoiners were like, this guy's too intense, like too out there for us. And so I feel like you can get a sense of how people are pretty quickly if you give them like a couple weeks, and then just slowly start following new people, unfollowing some people.
I started using Twitter because I just wanted to keep up to date with what the projects that I was invested in were doing. That's the only reason. I wasn't really like looking for, at the time I wasn't looking for friends. I wasn't looking for news even. Well, I guess I was looking for news, but it was more like, what are the easiest ways for me to follow this stuff? Because like, I don't want to spend every waking moment on the internet, like trying to figure out what my money is now that I've invested it. Yeah. So it's like any way that you can kind of tie yourself to the industry is good, but also keep in mind that any social media is going to be full of misleading information.
Yeah.
To put it one way, it's like, oh man, 2017 was so misleading.
But
yeah. You gotta go through that. You gotta figure out what is that. It's like, when we first started investing, there was very, very little information on YouTube.
Yeah.
And in some ways, that was a really terrible thing because there wasn't as much instruction available. But in some ways, it was a very good thing because now you go on YouTube and you look for like what projects are good investments on YouTube, and it's like, oh my God, there's like a 13-year-old kid telling you to spend your money on like,
it's ridiculous.
fuck you coin or whatever. It's like, and so hopefully, there's,
the one thing I don't want to happen is, so JJ referenced our last guest, and it was Knockout Mbele. She's a recruiter in the crypto space, and we're going to post that interview with her after this one. So if we reference it, you'll have to listen to the next episode to fully get the reference, because we wanted to have this be our first podcast of the new decade.
Yeah.
I don't like saying that because that creates enough controversy in itself.
I guess so, yeah.
And I understand why, but I also understand that nobody's going to include 2020 in the teens. Sorry. When they talk about the 20s, they're going to include 2020. So let's
probably.
Let's just
I don't know.
get over that bet. But it's almost like a new band or a new anything where people, or think of it like a fraternity. Like people say like, well, I was hazed and I turned out okay. So we should haze people. And then somebody dies because it just keeps getting progressively worse and worse and worse and like more aggressive each year. It's like, well, I survived getting punched in the face 5 times, so we should punch this guy in the face 6 times. It just gets progressively worse year by year by year. And so Nako said something of like, I think it's it's kind of like a rite of passage of like figuring out your keys in your wallet and this and that. And I was like, no, like I don't like, if we want people, if we want mass adoption, we got to get over that idea of that I did it, so the next person should have to do it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, like go listen to our episode with Chris DeRose, where he talks about how he had to use a special phone at a 7-Eleven in order to buy Bitcoin from Japan, and how society was telling him he was an evil person every step of the way.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was like in 2011 or whatever, and it was still kind of like that in 2016. I mean, it wasn't nearly as hard, but there were lots of ways to lose your money, and now there's even more because of all the quote unquote scams, and that's one of my biggest fears. That's what I consider the kind of the hex on crypto, if you will. Pun intended or not intended. It's like it's one of those things that we got to carry around, because I realize that there's a certain type of person in the world. And I don't exactly remember who I heard say this, but like somebody said, like, if you're the type of person who's prone to getting scammed, you should probably stay away from crypto. I heard somebody say that, whether it was on Twitter or on YouTube or something like that. And I thought, man, there's a type of person who is prone to scams, and that made me so scared, like sad or something.
My pushback to that is just put some money in Coinbase, suck it up and pay the ridiculously astronomical fees. Do it once a month and never look at it again. If you really want to invest in it, but you're prone to scam, like Coinbase, that's fine. That's it's insured. Your cash is secured in there, and your cash is secured by FDIC, and your Bitcoin is insured by an insurance company. So like,
that seems pretty safe. Yeah,
it's relatively, but you're paying for it. You're paying for that safety. You're paying shitty fucking fees for that safety. And that's the only downside. So, but if you're prone to scam, which I think a lot of people are, but I also think a lot of people aren't paying attention to Plus Token and all the different Ponzi schemes out there, because they don't have their ear to the ground. It's the people who are excited about getting rich quick, and they go on YouTube and they go on this and they go on that, and they hear about, oh, I can make 10,000% profit. Nobody's really saying that about Bitcoin anymore. Like, nobody competent is saying, if you buy Bitcoin right now, you can make 10,000% profit. Because most people are doing the math, and they're like, oh, okay, that'd have to like 2.6 million for me to make 10,000% profit. And the chances aren't that good of that happening. People would say that about Ripple, and then people do the math, and they're like, oh, shit, yeah, Ripple's not going to go to $1,000, most likely. Like, Sorry. And then it's like once people do a little bit of math, but it's just the people who don't do the math. And I feel like that we just need to get to them sooner and be like, okay, this is how you do the math. This is what market cap is. This is how you determine market cap. Do you really think that's going to go up 10,000 times higher than Bitcoin?
Yeah,
Probably
and
not.
comparing it to the market cap of money in general in the world, like comparing it to sort of things like that to actually make sense out of it. Well,
but hold on, but really fast. So like what I think is a good thing, if you have somebody who's interested in it and you hear somebody say, oh, what's this Bitcoin thing? You're like, oh, it's blah, 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 blah. If you want to try it, hop on Coinbase. It's so easy. Just put in $10 a month and see if see if you like it. Because those kind of people, I feel like they're going to hear about it on the news. They're not going to search for it on YouTube or Twitter. Like my mom's never going to go on YouTube and search about Bitcoin. And so, but she does hear about it occasionally. And I said, oh, just go on Cash App and put in $10 a month.
So Cash App and Coinbase, do you think like that's pretty much the future of onboarding people?
I think it could be the easiest just because it's so simple. It's so simple.
Because Coinbase was fine until they like basically invited every other shitcoin along too. Which, I mean, I kind of liked Coinbase when it was just, hey, you Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever, and now you can buy Tezos and Chainlink and
Algos and
BAT and so I don't know, but it is easy. You can get the app for your iPhone. Same with Cash App. I think Cash App's easier, but
no, Cash App's way easier.
So why don't we talk about 2019? What happened in 2019 that was so special for crypto without having any sort of list in front of us? So we're probably going to miss something really important, or I mean, for me it was pretty much a quiet year.
Yeah.
We had a full-on bull cycle that took Bitcoin up to $14,000.
Yeah, that was nice.
And I feel like it was a quiet bull market, there wasn't a whole lot of news about it, probably because it didn't break an all-time high.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got.
But it was loud enough where a guy down the street from me said, "Hey, what's up with this Bitcoin thing?" Because he knew he knew I was in it. I was like, "How do you even know about this? Like how did you hear about this?" It's like, "Oh, it was on the news." I was like, "Okay." So I think that if it had gone above 14K, I think it would start to get a little more traction. But so I think you're right. That's why, because it didn't reach any all-time highs, that it stayed relatively quiet.
Yeah. Let me think. Well, I think some of the bigger things, in my opinion, that are probably going to affect crypto or have is Binance America was kind of a big thing.
Yeah.
Because Binance, from what I can tell, was one of the things that fueled the furious 2017 bull market.
Yes, the ICOs especially.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of debate about what makes a bull market, but I don't know. I don't know if you can debate this. Is that a lot of people were buying Bitcoin in 2017 so that they could buy Ethereum, or so that they could buy altcoins, or so they could buy into ICOs.
Yeah.
ICOs, which are investments for future tokens, usually ERC20s. And that just made crypto go crazy. So when Binance America, which has very few users,
it's so bad.
And now they want your personal information, their KYC AML. And that means that there are not going to be nearly as many new users for crypto. They're not going to, users, call them users, they're investors, new people trying to buy altcoins. So if that's true, it's going to be very hard to replicate the same cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to take probably investment firms, banks, institutions,
Well, I don't think we're ever going to replicate that cycle. I think that cycle was a unique. I think every cycle to date for Bitcoin has been a unique cycle. So the first one was just brand new, random excitement. The second one was whatever, more people getting interested, a completely different, Ethereum or whatever, whatever prompted the one up to.
There was an altcoin like movement in what was it, 2014? It was before my time, but I mean I remember hearing about it. That was like Litecoin and a bunch of other, there was like Peercoin and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So like there were altcoins, but it wasn't like an ICO craze like that. And then so 2017 was the ICO craze, and then 2021 will be something else. Like
2019 there was supposed to be an IEO craze, but it didn't really do much. Just pumped a couple of projects.
Yeah, and because we were still in a serious bull market, and so I think that's the reason why. So the next time around, it'll probably be something similar or something else that people can lose money on, basically, right? There has to be, because that's the only reason why whales will like really start trying to push it up, is because they've found a new way to take money from poor people.
Well, I mean, okay, so there's a few things that we discovered in 2019. I guess we could kind of, now they're going to start coming out. So whales, new investors wanting to buy ICOs. We can never ever forget Tether, because that could be the only reason that Bitcoin goes up and down in price, is this magical internet stablecoin.
Yeah.
That it's, I mean, I don't know, like, what's going on with that? Like, where's Caspian Sea now? Like he we need to get him back on the air to tell us what's going on with Tether, because all right, there should be lawsuits right now. There should be what's his name, who was arrested in Poland, who was one of the not a shareholder, but he owned the company that managed basically was the money manager for Tether or Bitfinex.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember which one. There's an important guy related to Tether who was arrested in Poland last year, and it was supposed to be a big deal and crash Tether, but it hasn't yet.
Nothing happened.
Probably because these legal deliberations take a really long time.
And nobody wants Tether to crash.
And
nobody in crypto wants it to crash.
That is a weird conspiracy theory. I don't even know if you'd call that a conspiracy theory, because everybody
it's just head in the sand, bunch of ostriches, head in the sand, hoping that their bags won't collapse.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Krawitz he tweeted out like a couple of weeks ago, like, does anybody in Bitcoin actually believe that Tether is legitimate? Or he said something like that. Does anybody believe it's not a scam?
Yeah.
Or do you just, I mean, are you guys all just like hoping that it's
Yep.
I mean,
well, and then you have something like Plus Token, which Richard Hart did the math and found out that the run-up was kind of when they started like really getting on people's radar, and the peak was just as people found out it was a complete Ponzi and they skipped town, and then they started dumping, and that's like, so that was right at 14,000, and as soon as they got caught, they caught her brother, and they didn't catch her though, but I guess she was just like dumping, and that's what took it from 14,000 back down to 6,500.
You think? Oh man, that's.
I mean, nobody's disputed his numbers. So
that is an interesting hypothesis. I mean, all of this is hypothesis. Even Tether, like, nobody really knows what makes the price go up and down.
Yeah.
I mean, for every like fundamental analysis that you can find where somebody says every time Bitcoin peaks, there's this whale dumping, or there's this person saying this, or this company doing this, there's also a technical reason for it. And there's also, there's a million different, well, not a million, there's several different reasons why the price could be going up and down.
Well, there's several. We think there could be several reasons. That's the thing. Nobody really knows. There could literally be one reason, or there could be 10 reasons. We have no idea. And that's kind of the frustrating thing about it all.
Well, it's also the interesting thing about it, I guess. I mean, it's one of the reasons that we have this show, is like, we want to ask these questions of the space. What is it? We're no longer
skeptics. We're
no longer skeptics.
We're crypto curious now, to be more positive, to be more glass half full guys. Yes,
we are. We're on our way to become maximalists at this point. We're crypto curious. We wanna role play a bit. I guess.
We're crypto LARPers.
we wanna see what the other side is like. Yeah. So yeah, we also have what's up with the Mt. Gox trust? Is that still something we need to worry about, or
I haven't been hearing anything about it, so I just kind of tucked my head in the sand and hoped for the best.
Plus token. All right. So if Tether is not, if they're insolvent, if they're not legitimate, at what point would they actually try to start exiting? Because I would assume that would be the plan. Not
Plus
to actually,
token?
No, I mean Tether.
Oh, Tether. Sorry.
Well, yeah, Tether. Like what? I mean, we
think
did an
at this
episode
point-
like over a year ago where I gave a theory on why the Bitcoin price is crashing, and it had to do with Tether cashing out.
I don't think they can at this point, because every law enforcement agency knows who everyone involved is. So it's not some secret thing. So at this point, they're kind of locked in. And I don't think they could. I don't think they could exit scam.
So if they are just printing money, they're just going to continue to do it at the frequency that they are?
Hey, if it works for the U.S. government.
That's what I would, I mean, I guess so. I would just think that they would probably like want to stop printing the money and like see what happened. Or is the U.S. government going to be like, we actually own Bitcoin too, so like go ahead and keep printing the money?
Well, that's the thing. So we don't know if they're printing money, technically. We don't know.
Well, they're 77% backed.
Well, I mean, no, they say they're backed, but they're backed by assets, not by fiat. It's fiat and assets. So it's just kind of like wag the dog type thing, where their Tether is backed by Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin collapses, how do you keep the Tether price at $1? It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I thought that Tether was backed 1-to-1. I thought that's what we were told.
Yeah.
And I thought that
They
coins
changed it. Yeah.
like Maker were backed by crypto. Or True USD. I don't know what
True
True is.
USD is backed 1-to-1.
It's backed 1-to-1.
And they say
okay.
they've had
So
audits, and I haven't heard anybody say the audits weren't legit.
So I think Maker is actually backed by crypto assets, and now Tether is too. Which
that would make sense, because that's why the Maker token is all over the place. Sometimes it's $400, sometimes it's $300, sometimes it's
Right. Okay. Yeah, that does make sense. And then, Maker DAO or Maker DAI. Which one is the one that's the stable coin?
No clue.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, we're gonna look forward to that in 2020 to see what the new stable coins are. Stable coins, were they a rage of 2018 or 2019? I think they were 2018.
The new ones came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When like every exchange had a new stable coin.
Yeah. Oh, well, like beginning of 2019 as well, because that's when BuzzD came out in 2019. That's Binance's stable coin. And then Gemini tried to get theirs going. Nobody used it. But USDC apparently Poloniex just announced they're going to start using USDC, and that's Coinbase and Circle's stablecoin.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? I mean,
Let's see.
So I saw another stat that said, I forget where it was, but maybe Binance or something like that. But True USD was actually outpacing outpacing Tether on one exchange. And it's like, good for them, because at least they're
market cap?
more legit.
Okay. Yeah.
So that would be nice if that happens across the board and people switch over to True USD.
Let's see what else happened in 2019. 2019 was the Beaxy launch, right?
The Bitsy launch?
Beaxy, the exchange, they launched the one that was another U.S.-based exchange in like Chicago or something. You remember that?
Oh, I don't even remember that.
They had a token sale for a long time. So this was actually something that happened in 2019. Beaxy, Beaxy.
Okay.
Man, we've already forgotten it. Well, this was a thing that was on Twitter. Everybody was shilling this thing, saying, "Oh, it's gonna be the best new exchange, even though it's an American exchange." Like, lots of referral codes. Lots of there was a token, BXY was the token.
Okay.
And when the exchange launched, there was no liquidity. No one used it. And it turned out that everybody on Twitter was getting paid to shill the shit.
Oh my God.
And it was really embarrassing because so many of those people had credibility up until that point. And we've talked about it on the show, but there's this thing that happens with credibility in crypto that really kind of doesn't seem very healthy, in my opinion. And that is, in the real world, if you do something that fucks up your credibility, it's really hard to get the credibility back.
Yeah.
It's really hard. If you make a mistake in public and people know, or if you do something wrong to hurt people, like you got to do something to get that trust back.
Yeah.
But in crypto, if you if you have an avatar of like a dog or something and like no one knows who you are and you fuck up really badly, like for some reason 2 months goes by and like people are like, who cares?
I got in a fight with somebody. So Whale Panda. So this all led to the Peter McCormick fiasco, but it was on this thread. So Whale Panda, who's a part of the Magical Crypto Internet Friends thing, hardcore.
He's an investor, right?
Yeah, hardcore maximalists. He says something about Elon Musk, and I reply, I was like, well, actually, that's not true. Elon Musk doesn't work for free. He has to take a salary by law. And he's also a multimillionaire beforehand, and he leverages all his assets to get loans. So he doesn't need to take even if he didn't take a salary, he wouldn't need to, because he could leverage all his assets and take out loans to survive. That's how rich people do it. And this guy's like, well, I believe Whale Panda. And I'm like, okay, well, here's a link to Financial Times. Here's a link to New York Times. Here's a link to Washington Post. Here's a link to Wall Street Journal. And the reason these guys are reporting it is because Elon Musk reported it to the SEC because legally he has to. That he reported that he has a salary. And the guy's like, well, I don't believe any of them. I believe Whale Panda more than them. And I'm like, holy fucking shit. This is the reality we live in.
I know. It's crazy. A person we don't even know his real name, and he's on Twitter as a cartoon panda and he's got more trust than any other news outlet and any other journalist.
I mean, he believes Whale Panda over Elon Musk, who admitted he takes a salary. And it's just like, holy shit, you guys! Like, what is this world coming? But you know what? That's a perfect example of somebody who's likely to be scammed.
Yeah,
that guy's easily duped,
right?
And so, or that guy or girl. I don't know if it was a guy or girl, but that person is likely to be scammed in their lifetime, multiple times, most likely. Because
so that's something. If you're new to crypto, which if you're listening to this show, you're probably not new. I hope you are, and welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
If you are, then keep in mind that if you're looking on Twitter and you see somebody's been involved in crypto and been tweeting since 2013, that doesn't mean they haven't scammed people. That doesn't mean that they are legit.
Trustworthy.
That doesn't mean anything. That just might mean they're just really good at shit posting or something like that. That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounding important, or sounding, what they. And that's what scammers do. That's why Richard got so much attention. Richard
Hart of Hex, of YouTube, the YouTube crypto vampire.
Yeah, let's talk about that really fast.
You want to talk about? I was actually going to bring up one other thing about Binance, because they actually did get hacked for $40 million worth of Bitcoin in May.
True.
That was something that that's another thing. It's like these big things happen that have the potential to destroy Bitcoin. 2 weeks after this happened, everyone was like, what heck?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All funds are SAFU.
Yeah.
It's like,
nobody
we
cares.
just move on. No, it's okay. Let's just not talk about it. Just sweep it under the Tether rug and we'll all be good. All right. Let's hex this shit up.
Is Hex a scam?
This is a tired subject, but we got to talk about it because we had Richard on the show, and we've we've given him a voice, and we've been very, very critical of people who just openly call something a scam, and you throw that word around, and it really pisses us off because we're actually trying to do some work to figure out what is and what isn't going to steal your money.
Yeah.
And so when people just do it, I don't know if they're doing it just to get attention or I don't know. But if you don't have a reason, if you don't have any sort of proof that something is, you know, a scam, a fraud, let's use the word fraud because it's a better word.
Yeah.
But
so
what's your take on Richard Hart and his Hex?
So my thing is, here's a guy who says, I designed a smart contract, a token in a smart contract to deal with the issues that I see with Bitcoin. Now, I haven't built anything on it, and I'm probably not going to build anything on it. I just spent a ton of money paying somebody to create this token in the smart contract, and then I paid a couple different auditors to audit it. So this is what I'm putting out into the world. Now, I'm going to give it to you for free if you have Bitcoin, and I'm going to let you buy it with Ethereum. But I'm not going to set the price because I don't want to get caught up in all that ICO bullshit. So I'm literally just going to put out a certain amount each day, and whatever percentage of the ETH that you put in, that's what the percentage of the Hex you get out. And so it'll, you know, I have no idea what the price is going to be because if one person does it, they get and puts in 0.01 ETH, they're going to get 100% of the Hex, and that'll be the value of the Hex. You know, for 1 billion Hex, it'll be 0.01 ETH. But if 10,000 people do it, so he left it really up to the world to kind of figure out, you know, do they value this? Do they want it to hold value? Are they interested in it? Do they like the idea? You know, and even and he said, hey, I've designed this to go up 10,000x, but it could just as easily go to 0. He goes, I took all the things that you do to, you know, I've created, you know, certain supply this, supply that. So, you know, I've locked it up so you can't dump. So all the things that stop Bitcoin from constantly going up and constantly tanking, I'm going to take those out of the equation. So you can't do that. So all the things that would drop the price in Bitcoin, I'm not going to make it so you can't actually do that with the Hex token. So here it is. Go for it. And people are like, well, that's a scam. Well, okay, so how? What, like, where? So my thing is like, where is he lying? Now he was kind of mums the word on the origin address where he gets a matching. So if, you know, if I stake 10,000 and I get a 500 reward, he also gets a 500 reward to the origin address. And he's not saying it's his, but it's somebody in the company's. You know, it's whatever the group who did it. It's somebody's there. And then people are like, oh, here he comes. Someone's dumping all the ETH. And I'm like, well, they dumped, you know, 500 ETH. If they dump 1 million ETH, absolutely. You know, that's, or, you know, 100,000 ETH. Yeah, that's pretty shady. But at a certain point, dude has to pay himself back. He paid a coder and he paid the auditors to audit the code. And so, like, and he's got people working on it behind the scenes. He's got 3 or 4 people actually working on it. So, like, he needs to pay people. So I'm assuming that's the kind of the whole point of selling something in the beginning and collecting ETH as payment, and then taking that ETH payment and paying people along the way. Like Nano did it. Nano had a small developer fund. Ethereum did it with the Ethereum Foundation.
So he can't say that's what he's doing because he technically does not have the money.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Or officially doesn't have the money.
He officially doesn't have the money.
So is there more you're going to add to this? Or
no, that's it. But okay. So my thing is, like, I don't mind people calling it a scam. I don't mind people calling it a fraud, but have some evidence. So one person linked an article that says, oh, see, he paid his auditors. So they were working for him. So there were and they underlined these few things that said this could be a problem and this could be a problem. And it wasn't because Hex was a problem, it was because ETH was a problem and Bitcoin was a problem.
Right.
And so that didn't gain any traction, and that didn't really hold up. And then people, I mean, to be fair, the calls of scam and fraud have kind of died down because people just realized, oh, we don't really have any evidence whatsoever outside of the fact that we don't like him and he dances funny on a cruise ship with a captain hat on. You know, and he looks like the guy from The Simpsons, so we're just going to meme him to death and hopefully he'll go away. But it's just like, that's not how the real world works. Sorry.
So, okay. Yeah, people didn't like his marketing. They don't like the fact that he basically, you know, he calls himself a thought leader or whatever. That really rubbed people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Those thought leaders.
Yeah, those Bitcoin thought leaders.
So he can't talk about what he's doing with the money. He officially, he in terms of the public, he doesn't have access to it. Whatever. It's in a trust that has an agenda. Okay. I think that, so here are the reasons that people want to call it a scam. All the things that you mentioned. He dances funny with a captain's hat. Sure. He's a goofy guy, and there's some history on the internet.
He live streams from a Dracula cave.
Yes, he's has a history. He has a kind of shady. Well, you know, we call it a shady history because to us it sounds like, you know, he was the king of spam. He helped make. Apparently, he helped make spam what it is today. This sort of like...
Yeah, and nobody knew what it was back then. He probably didn't even know what it was back then. He was just trying to show his friends business, he says.
Yeah, and he was trying to make money at doing that, which we know that he is an opportunist in that way. And that's probably what attracted him to crypto.
Yeah.
So those things, you know, those aren't outright scams, but those things do kind of seem a little sketchy. The other thing is that, what was I going to say? There's the fact that he doesn't disclose his location. Nobody knows where he lives.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he claims he does that because he just doesn't, he doesn't want to be doxxed. He talks a bit about how he was scammed in Panama when he first moved there. Panama is a place that has very lax tax laws. So if he is a capitalist,
I think scam is a pretty gentle word for what happened to him down there.
Okay, well, we can talk about what happened to him or not. He says he was scammed. Anyway, there was some news that something happened down there that wasn't good for him, and he moved down there for a reason, probably to avoid taxes. But which a lot of e-commerce entrepreneurs do move to Panama. I know a few of them.
And Puerto Rico.
We know some crypto people who move there.
Yeah.
So he's probably not in the U.S., he's probably somewhere else, and because nobody knows where he is, that does seem a little fishy. Like, if he is trying to steal $100 million from his followers, then this would be a pretty good way to do it. Like, some people say, well, if you put your face all over everything, like, that's kind of suicide if you're going to scam that many people for that much money. But the guy is very smart, and if that is his plan, he probably does have some plan to escape. Maybe he has an island somewhere where he's going to go to.
Yeah, my thing is just like, okay, so he's got maybe like $4 or $5 million in ETH right now. And granted, it's going to go on for another year. I think the hype is in. I don't see him getting another like 20 or 30 million in ETH over the course of the rest of the year. I think people who were interested in Hex probably would have gotten in by now. Just because, I don't know. Maybe it was like EOS, and EOS just kept going and ended up with $4 billion. And maybe he thinks he's going to be the next EOS, and he'll have $4 billion. But like you said, it's like, is it worth? If he does do, here's the thing: the smart contract exists, the tokens exist, and it's open source. So you can't really exit scam because he hasn't said he's going to do anything. He hasn't said he's going to build all these things with the money. He's openly said he's not going to do anything from now on.
Well,
he's put it out there, and anybody can build on it and do whatever they want on it because it's open source.
Well, he has to have a plan for that Ethereum that people sent to the address.
Why?
To the contract.
I don't have to have a plan for my money that I get from my job. I don't have to tell them what I'm going to do with my money. Like, they pay me for something, I do it, they give me the money, I go on about my business.
Okay, well, how about all his online claims that the best way to get rich is to send money to the contract?
Well, I mean, you actually do get more Hex that way.
Okay.
I mean,
That's kind of a loaded way to...
Everything he says
say
is
that.
loaded, but that's the thing. Like, I feel like you got to take everything people say with a grain of salt and read between the lines. And obviously, he's a salesperson. He's hyping his business. It would be weird if he wasn't hyping his business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the thing. It's like,
So
I keep waiting for the shoe to drop. And I'm not saying, like, it's not a scam. I'm just saying it's just like, show me it's a scam.
Well, so if he disappears tomorrow and he never does another live stream and nobody ever hears from him again,
he has $4 million in ETH or $5 million in ETH at this point.
Here's the thing. This is kind of like a tree falling in the woods sort of situation. If Richard Hart leaves tomorrow and we never hear from him again, will he be a scammer? It's like...
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, would it be worth him never being able to show his face ever again for $5 million? But I mean,
what you're saying is that that $4 million in ETH could just be his payment for his work. Like that.
Absolutely.
Is that so? He in that argument, he is not scamming anyone.
Yeah.
He just did a thing.
Yeah.
But everybody in the world and all of Twitter will be like, Richard Hart disappeared. He just scammed. He just exit scammed.
And it's like, exit scammed what? You have your Hex. He didn't take your Hex from you.
Yeah.
You bought Hex. You made a bad investment. Like, don't blame him because you made a bad investment.
Well, then he's I don't know. Then he's a snake oil salesman or something.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
He sold you something that had no value.
But here's the thing. Bitcoin has no value unless somebody actually is willing to buy it from you. Because it doesn't have any value as a P2P currency. It's terrible at that. People say, oh, it's a store of value. Okay, so what is it worth to you to have a store of value outside of a bank account? Is it worth 10,000? Is it worth 4,000? Is it worth 1,000? Like, it just depends. So right now, the thing about the scam that bothers me is, does the Hex token do what he says it's going to do? Do you lock it up? Do you get more for locking it up? Does it protect the network?
Well, it better.
It does all those things.
Yeah.
I mean, you go on there, it's locked up. It's locked up in my own Ethereum contract on my MetaMask. So he doesn't have my Hex. I have my Hex. And I can still send it to JJ. It still does exactly what he says it's going to do. So he created something. So this is what I tell people. If I write a comic book and everybody loves it, everyone's like, oh my God, I love that idea. So I write the comic book. And then I spend money and I build a new printing press. And I spend maybe like $100,000. And I build this new type of printing press that makes the comics look fucking cool as shit. And I print out 1,000 comics. Does that make me a scammer if I sell those 1,000 comics? Or if I only sell 10 of them and keep the rest for myself? Am I scamming people because I kept some for myself? It's like, you bought the
You're
comic.
Comparing a Hex token to a comic book?
Well, to 99% of the world, the comic book holds zero value. It's useless. It's worthless. They would never spend their money on a comic book. So it's literally just it only has it has value for the people who need it. And so if I made the comic and you open up the pages and there's nothing there, then I scammed you.
Right.
Because it's not doing what I told you. If I told you there's going to be this story in there and you open it up and the story isn't there, then I've scammed you. But if the story is there and you spent $100,000 on that one comic and you don't like it and you're like, I got scammed. You're like, what do you mean? I told you what the story was going to be. You chose to pay $100,000 for it. I didn't even set the price. You bought it from somebody else for $100,000, not from me.
I think that I think that, well, I mean, if he does disappear with the ETH, then one thing we know for sure is that the world will remember him as a scammer.
Sure.
At least temporarily.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crypto after all.
Yeah.
But like that's what will happen. And that's probably what should happen, because it wouldn't be that cool of him to just disappear like that.
Absolutely.
And so that's where that artificial line probably gets drawn.
But really fast, I think the biggest paradox for me about all this is from the maxis, who claim to be free market freedom people, and who say, like, value is value, and hard work and pay for what like pull yourselves up by your bootstraps and pay for what you want, and all these things about like free market, and then they're the ones complaining about a project that works as it says it's going to do, and then they say it's a complete scam because he collected ETH, something they also call a scam.
Yeah.
So why do they care?
Well, the Bitcoin maximalists, they follow a certain narrative so that they can, quote unquote, protect people from
themselves.
From scams. Well, I mean, that's what they've decided to do. I guess they decided to.
They don't like nanny states, and yet they're trying to create a nanny state where they're the ones who decide what's good and bad.
They all decide they're going to share the same set of beliefs that are the easiest thing to follow, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, okay. Well, that artificial line that we draw, where like basically if you collect money from somebody and they don't get anything for it in return, even if you tell them they're not going to get anything for it, that's where the scam line gets drawn.
Well, so they are getting something in return. They're getting Hex tokens.
They're getting Hex tokens, right? But what I'm saying is, like, they're getting Hex tokens and they're getting a dream. They're not buying Hex tokens because they just want Hex tokens.
Sure.
They're buying Hex tokens because they believe that Hex is going to be worth something in the future, and that belief comes from somewhere, and it most likely comes from Richard Hart.
Sure.
So Richard Hart is selling a bit more than just a dumb token.
Absolutely.
He's selling
an idea.
He's selling an idea. And so when that idea doesn't come true, like that's when people are going to feel like they're scammed.
Yeah.
And
just for the record, I didn't buy any with any ETH. Just to put it out there.
I don't know anybody who did, actually.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but I was like, that's crazy.
I did collect my free stuff for the Bitcoin that I had locked up, just because I'm interested in the game theory. Uh-huh. I'm interested to see if it's going to play out the way he thinks it's going to play out.
He even tried to market that. He was like, I'm trying to get people to protect their own Bitcoin and keep their own private keys. Like, I don't know if that worked for me, but but because of that artificial line, that scam line, that either legitimizes or delegitimizes a lot of other projects that people consider scams.
Yeah. Or
that don't consider scams. Something like, a project like IOTA, which doesn't really seem to do anything yet. There's a lot of news about it. Like every altcoin falls into that category of, did they sell a dream to people? And I think like that's kind of the things that we need to look at and talk about.
Yeah.
And like get it out in the open, really, before you spend money on something that may just be a dream and that's it.
Yeah.
So that was one of the most exciting things of 2019. And it was interesting. It came right at the end pretty much, although there was kind of some build up to it. I didn't even know what to imagine. I didn't know what to think from it. I wonder if Richard Hart must have been planning this from the beginning. He must have known that he was trying to build something.
Yeah. He's
a pretty interesting character, starting out as a maximalist and then kind of shifting over to being a fan of Ethereum. Of course, he's told us personally that part of his reason for doing that was because it's much easier to get an audience when you're just bullish on the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah. So he admitted to us that he missed the boat on Ethereum, and the reason why he was so bullish on Bitcoin is because he missed the boat on Ethereum, and he wanted to pump his own Bitcoin bags and not let Ethereum do the flippening and become number one. And then he realized as he was pumping Bitcoin, he's like, oh shit, there's so much wrong with this shit. So
yeah. And so, and I mean, just as far as like, he is kind of a master marketer. Like, if you wanted to start a business, one of the best ways to do it, and this is what a lot of people are doing right now, is create your social media identity. Like, get some followers, do something to build up some personal brand or some kind of brand, so that when you do launch that product or service, you've got people that you can automatically go to.
Yeah.
So he did all that right. I wonder if he knew from the beginning that he was going to be trying to sell something.
probably.
Because he did his entire channel, no ads, completely free, gave away lots of information. Most of it was not that bad. I mean, I don't think anybody has watched all of his live streams, but like
the one that was 6 hours.
He had a Telegram group where he did price calls, and I don't know if he was a good trader or not. It seemed like he went back and forth on trading. Now he seems to hate it again. And I remember in 2017 he told people not to trade at all. So
yeah. I mean, but I think in his mind, calling tops isn't necessarily trading. It's about protecting your money.
Well, I mean, he had a trade channel though where he told people to go long and short and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was all kind of BitMEX related.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. The dude, he seems like he must have just gotten bored during the bear market or something.
Yeah, in his bat cave with his millions of dollars of Bitcoin that he can't do anything with because he's trapped in a bat cave.
Yeah.
So,
let me think. Any other crazy shit in 2019? I feel like, well, I mean, bouncing back from 3,000 was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that
was pretty good.
So that was December of 2018 that we hit that bottom that we hope we don't see again, or we do, depending on who we are. That was kind of a big moment. At what point did you realize that wasn't just a dead cat bounce? Like, was it when we crossed 6,000, when we blew through 6,000, you were like, oh,
no, not even then. I think it was like 9,000. I was like, oh, whoa.
It's crazy how that happens. You can't know what the price is doing even when it's doing it. It's impossible.
And I think that's the weird thing about Bitcoin, like the hex it has over me, where it'll triple in value from 3,000 to 9,000. And I'm still just like, I don't know what's going on. Is this a dead cat bounce? And you're like, you just made 300% profit, and you're questioning whether it's a dead cat bounce. I mean, if
you zoom out, it looks kind of like a dead cat compared to the 20K.
Yeah.
It looks like it's something that's just going to plummet to 1,000 if you turn your head.
Yeah, the wrong way. Yeah.
Sneeze
the wrong way, too close to it.
I mean, just in the past day, we've pumped over $1,000 from 73 to 8,300. And so, I mean, I don't know what you see when you look at the chart, but I see a chart that's ready to make a new low. Like, that's what I see, just because we've been doing that for the last several months.
A new low, like below 6,500?
I mean, we were making lower lows. So, I mean, let me take a look at it right now. Let me see. I haven't looked at it since yesterday, but I'm sure it looks the same. To me, it looks like we've been we started making at least one higher high on the daily, but since July we've been making lower lows.
Yeah.
So it's been dropping, and then it would pump, and then drop, and then pump, and so this looks like just another.
Yeah, I mean, technically
pump.
It still is in the
lower
in the descending channel.
Yeah, we went 14,000 as a pump to 12.5, 10.6, and now we're at 8.5. That was the last top.
Yeah.
So that to me does kind of look like we're still descending.
Yeah.
Which now
absolutely could be.
a lot of people will look at this and be like, that's a descending wedge or whatever. We're about to break out of it, and this is good news. So, yeah. Then, of course, all of this technical analysis stuff does not predict price at all, and we don't make price predictions. And nobody should make price predictions because that's not what technical analysis is about. I mean, it's about probabilities on what the price can do based on what it's done in the past.
Yeah.
And if you follow anybody who says the price will go up, then they're full of shit, and you probably shouldn't listen to them other than maybe they're a counter indicator or something.
Run away from it. Yeah, like Peter Schiff is a good counter indicator apparently, because every time he calls the bottom, it goes up.
Yeah. And by the way, anything that is considered a counter indicator, I mean, it's kind of a meme. Like you see, CNBC counter indicator, they usually will call the top when it's the bottom.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of thing because they're so behind. Peter Schiff, probably another good example. It's
Crypto
not
Robbie, if you follow Crypto Bobby, he always is a counter indicator, and he jokes around about it. He's like, I'm letting you guys all know I bought some stuff so you can short it now.
That's what I do. I mean, I'm basically like, I know the price usually falls after.
And it's funny because JJ actually said it to me. He's like, I just made this trade. Just want to give you a heads up. It's already lost 10% though.
Yeah, I'm about to buy some Bitcoin, so it's probably going to fall. That seems to be what happens. But yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of traders, especially on Twitter, that love to brag about their price calls. And it's like, you know what? That's not the way it works. That's not how you trade.
Yeah. Oh, you want to know what else would happened? Was the meme wars of Carbon-Base and Samson Mao.
Well, I would say that Carbon-Base really made his brand in 2019.
Yeah.
He was around in 2018. In fact, he was one of the first guests we wanted to get on the show, but he was kind of just a scrappy kid then, and he really kind of made a behemoth of himself in 2019. Carbon-Based, who is basically he is the biggest crypto troll that there is. And listen to our episode with him as a guest. He went after the second biggest crypto troll, Samson Mao, Excellion on Twitter, and his very public relationship with his girlfriend, who also works for an exchange, right?
Yeah,
so it's
the Bitsy exchange.
Lots of
I mean, and
lots of great controversy.
What I posted on Twitter was, it's a very scary situation like that because he's got 6,000 followers. Samson has like 100,000 followers or something like that. And the way it played out, it seems like Samson shut him down. Samson got his account banned.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened. Nobody really does because
no one's taking credit for it. Everyone's saying, "Oh, it wasn't me," but like somebody scammed, used the DMCA scam where you claim
but
the person.
Was that even I heard that wasn't even, there was no DMCA, that wasn't a thing. I heard that this was just Twitter being Twitter.
So all those emails that said that, because he shared all the emails. Somebody shared it, like Cass or Kyle shared all the emails.
No, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so it was either
much misleading information.
Cass or Kyle Gibson. Somebody shared the emails and it said, Peter McCormick filed a strike against you, and like 5 other people. And all those people claimed, "Oh, it wasn't me. I have no idea what's happening." And like, so Dovey Wan was one of them. She's like, "I was on vacation. I have no idea what's even going on. I don't even know what a DMCA is." And then, because it's an American thing, not a Chinese thing, so
just more fraud then?
It all came from one email address, some like LLP email address or something like that. And so somebody hired that company to do it, which, I don't know. It's
who would be wanting to shut down Carbon-Based besides most people in crypto Twitter?
I mean, I could easily see Samson doing it. It's like,
I mean, one of the reasons that this is an important thing, this censoring of people, which is supposed to be kind of a faux pas in the land of censorship resistance.
Yeah.
But this is one thing that it's really hard for us to talk about. Well, it's not hard for us to talk about. It's very easy. It's hard for people to understand if you aren't involved in crypto and you're not on crypto Twitter and you don't know what we're talking about. It's like these are basically inside jokes that people are getting offended by.
Yeah.
And they feel personally attacked. And if you're just coming into crypto, if you just bought your first Bitcoin or whatever, you're going to have no idea what we're talking about. And you're going to hear like, what the fuck is Jim Friend? What the fuck? Who is this lion dude?
Samson
like, why does he have so many followers? And like, how is he related to his Twitter account? And what is magical crypto?
Yeah.
And what does that have to do with privacy tokens and Litecoin? Like, you're just going to be like, this makes no sense.
So let's do a little crash course. So Samson Mao works for Blockstream, which is the biggest company in the Bitcoin space.
Michael, I think that I don't know exactly. Maybe we need to do this at a separate episode or something because like we have to break it down let's
simply,
do that.
Let's do another episode about it.
Okay,
because I think
we can kind of go
through
it right now. Who the magical crypto friends are, and like.
But I think shutting, because it happened with James Lopp and that one bot account, the deleted crypto tweet bot.
Oh right, yeah.
So it's like so these big Bitcoiners are shutting down people who are speaking truth to power because they don't like what they're saying. They don't like that they're calling them out on their actions.
Yeah, and speaking truth to power is arguably what they're doing. Some of them, in the case of Carbon Based, he's getting attention for, to me, he's not like a Bitfinex where he's going out and trying to expose people. I think he's actually trying to get attention for what he's doing in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I personally believe. I like what he's doing because I think he's clever and he's creative and he's funny and he does make you question these things. He does make you question. When he points out that, oh, hey, so-and-so is related to so-and-so who owns an exchange. Yeah. It's like, oh, shit. We should probably think about that. So that's important. But, I mean, Magical Crypto Friends. Looking at what Magical Crypto Friends have done over the past 3 years, from Litecoin to Monero to Blockstream to their stupid cartoon thing, they did exactly what Richard Hart did.
Exactly.
They made a YouTube channel. They made it weird and cool, and it was actually really boring, just like Richard's. and they made a brand, and then they created something, and then they're gonna try to sell it. It's just like it's the same old song and dance. Really,
it's shady.
And it takes people who actually know what's going on or actually criticize Blockstream and Bitcoin, BTC.
Yeah.
It takes the BSV people who are also kind of crazy. It takes them to expose what is going on with that sort of situation. But anyway, that's for another episode. I think
that'd be a good episode right there. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's
all right. Cool.
That's a good episode.
Welcome to 2020, everyone.
Hey, and if you're new to the channel, thanks for following us. If you've been following for a while, thanks. We appreciate it. But a really good thing to do for us, if you could help us out, is rate us, like us, and rate us on iTunes or Google Play Store, just because that gets us out to more people, and that's all we really want. We just want to get the word out to help people from getting scammed and to talk about scams and to talk about what mistakes not to make. Learn from our mistakes if you can. Do as we say, not as we do, type thing.
Yep.
So, that's it. Anything else?
Cool. Not on my end. So, we'll see you all soon.
Hey, really fast. We got keywordcrypto.com, baby. No more dash.
No more dash.
So now you can find us.
Well, that makes it easier.
You can find, I tweet from @keywordcrypto. JJ tweets from, what is it, JJ?
Keyword Crypto JJ.
Yep. And then we are at keywordcrypto.com. We're also on Facebook, but nobody ever goes there, so don't even bother.
Yeah. I think one of my crypto resolutions this year is to get away from the echo chamber that is kind of crypto these days. Try to share more about, share more to the population at large who might be interested in this kind of thing and spread awareness about the protest that is crypto, rather than I am really guilty of following all of this drama and stories and personalities, which has been really fun, but in the end I don't know if it actually makes the world a better place. So
we don't.
And with that, we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.